introduce course plan and the course detail. Okay, this is the course plan. Okay, if you look in CN, it might not be uploaded yet, but will be uploaded later. Okay, beginning, you can see that this is there's the introduction. So basically, this programming language, programming principle and technique, we're going to use C++. Then we're going to learn all the notation and everything about C++. So basically, at the end of the course, we'll be supposed to be able to explain the concept of program and programming language development environment, apply computer program control structure into the algorithm to solve a problem, and design a solution to a problem using programming control structure and programming techniques such as function and array. So basically, all of this programming is using the C++. So beginning this semester, we have the generative AI usage acceptance level. That is basically how the level of AI you can use for your assignment and exam. But the course leader have stated that for summative assessment, that means your exam, of course, is free. That means you are not permitted, specifically permitted to use any AI for the final exam. And then it also has stated that for some formative assessment, that means for your assignment, it's also stated that it's also free. That means you also permitted to use AI for your assignment. It's been stated by the course leader. So he insists that both assessment and the assignment as well as the exam, you are prohibited from using the AI. Okay, for the lectures, of course, as any other classes, is 2 hours per week. And then the assessment, the assignment is 40%, quiz is 30%, and you have another 30% for your final exam. Okay, I'm not sure whether you're familiar with this grading scale, but you can check later. The formative and summative assessment. Okay, since we're using 70-30, so please remember that you must get at least 28% for your continuous assessment. That means for your assignment, you must get at least 28. This 28 enable you to be eligible for your final exam. And if in the case that you fail the final time, your exam later on, this 28% also make you eligible for boosted exam. If you get less than 28, you're not eligible for boosted exam. And then for your final assessment, that means your final exam, you must get at least 12 out of. If the final exam is 100 marks, you must get at least 40 in order to get that 12%. For example, if you get, let's say your continuous assessment is already 50, that means you already passed the 40 marks. But if your final assessment is only 8, you still considered fail. You will get an E instead of marks. Here 50 might get a C. So, but since your final exam is 8, you're not going to get a C. You go straight to E. Okay, so we look at the course content. So what we're going to cover in this course. So firstly, we're going to look at the introduction to computer before we go deep into its, not deep, before we go to the C++ itself and its notation. We first look at introduction to computer programming language. So we can get a programming paradigm, programming language, and the programming development process. So it's just introduction of computer programming language before we go to C itself. And then in chapter 2, we start with the basic of C. We look at data types and variables. So under data types, we have the data type itself, variables, different type of data types. We look at variables, constant, and identifier. And then in topic 3, we look at operator and expression. We look at arithmetic expression, logical operator, increment and decrement, how to increase, decrease, and so, yeah, increment and decrement operator. So not just how to do arithmetic, logical, but how to increase and decrease. Operator is more than and less than focusing. Okay. And then topic 4 is algorithm. So look at flowchart, pseudocode, and the case study on how to do flowchart and pseudocode. In topic 5, we look at program control structure. So we look at sequential, selection, if else, and switch case. So those are the different type of control structure. And then topic 6, we look at is basically a continuation on control structure. So if in topic 5, we look at the how to choose different type of choice. So in topic 6, we look at repetition. So in topic 6 is the control structure. We have iteration, while, do while, and for. So these are all for repetition. And then topic 7 is functions. So we have component of a function, calling function by value and by reference, and recursion. That means it's a function inside a function. So Set a function. So we have learned data types, we have learned the control structure, we have learned data types, the operator, we have learned the control structure, then we can learn function. Because inside the function we have all those items. Then topic 8 is array. So we have single and multi-dimensional array, array declaration and initialization, as well as accessive element in an array. So now we start with how to put and access information in. And topic 9 is structures and string. We have string declaration, string manipulation function, structure declaration, as well as accessing structure members. And the final topic is on pointers. We have pointer, variable declaration and initialization, pointer operators, and use of pointer. If we look at the assignment assessment, so in topic 3, we have assignment announcement. That means you are given the assignment or topic on B. The first quiz is given in week 5. Week 10, given second quiz as well as submission of the assignment. Okay, so let's look at the coursework details. So we look more on the quiz as well as the assignment. Okay, so this is the coursework detail. You can see that we have 2 quiz and 1 assignment. So the first quiz is on week 5, second quiz is in week 1. Just now it says week 10, so somewhat similar. And first assignment is given in week 3 and due on week 10 or week 11, basically. Okay, the first quiz we have in week 11. Week 10 is actually a semester break, so might as well might be given week 11. And it covers from topic 5 to 10. Okay, the assignment is only, that's quiz 2, sorry. Quiz 1 is in week 5. It covers from topic 1 to 4. Quiz 2 is in week 11 from the rest of the topic, which is topic 5 to 10. Okay, assignment. There's only one assignment. Will be done with a group of 2 students because as the leader implies, this project is or the assignment is simple enough to be done by 2 students. Okay, so by week 3 is supposed to be a group formation. So each of students should form a group. Then this group will discuss assignment questions to gain clear understanding. So students strongly encouraged to attend classes in week 1 and 3 to ensure no one feels behind. So if you didn't attend, you might not get any partners. Okay, assignment is divided into 2 phases. The first one is the analysis phase. The second one is the implementation phase. So the 40%, 20% analysis, another 20% implementation. So in the analysis phase, you analyze the problems, then you develop the algorithm, conduct a walkthrough of the solution. what the problem is about, that you will see when you get the question. And then in the implementation, you perform coding, testing, and maintenance, and deliver group presentation. Submission must include a front page, and question, and the report, that means your answer, and the reference. The second presentation is scheduled for week 12, with a final report due in week 10. To complete the implementation phase, student must present the system. If we did not present, they will get 50% reduction from the group implementation phase marks. Additionally, student absent during the presentation will have the individual mark for the implementation phase reduced by 20%. Okay, so that means you have to do presentation. If you didn't do presentation, your implementation phase will be reduced 20%. So that means instead of 20%, you'll get only 10%. And then if any student absent during the presentation, the individual mark will further reduce by 20% from the 50%. And no fee riders will be tolerated. So that means if you're in a group, you must do your work. You don't just put your name. And this is the assessment rubric for the assignment. For the analysis phase, you identify input, data type, and determine the process, such as programming technique that can be utilized. And you also identify output that will be presented to the user. And then to write the pseudocode. Correct flows follow standard format in writing the pseudocode. Language, variables, and instruction must be clear. And then you need to draw a flowchart. Correct flow follows standard format in drawing with correct symbols. Language, variable, instruction use must be clear. And then you need to trace the algorithm manually in a table. Show the changes of value for each stage of input, process, and output. So you don't just write the pseudocode and know the flowchart, you need to trace the algorithm. That's for analysis phase. For implementation phase, okay, for analysis phase, 20 marks, that will be divided into two to get the 20%. And then for the implementation phase, proper writing programming language code, correct control structure or technique, declare all variables required, prompt for input, display output as required, key or program to be compiled and execute, presentation for presentation, ability to answer the question, and then complete for documentation, complete documentation, and correct submission. Must have cover page, and then must include the purpose of assignment and the copy of codes. So the code must be included. Several screenshots with various input and output. The submission, there's two files. First, the Word document, and then the execution file. And that's another 40 marks, which will be divided to get the 20%. Okay, any question on the assignment or quiz? That means on the any question on the assessment?
Do we have to put reference if we do it by ourselves?
Excuse me?
It says to include references for the code, right? But let's say if we
Uh,
do it 100% on our capability, do we still need to put references?
Sorry, I can't hear you. Can you say it again?
Okay, hold on, sorry. The code, right? Can you hear me
Uh-huh.
now? Okay. Let's say if we write it 100% on our capability, no reference needed. Do we still need to put reference?
It's needed in the report and also the executable one also included.
Yeah, just like the reference, because like I can write like this by myself. Let's say the code, right? But I don't need any reference. But they say, do you still need it to put one?
So what? Oh, the reference. Reference if, for example, you use books or let's say you use books or some website to help you, you know, yeah. Okay. Yes. It's going to good help for website. Yeah. Ah, well, actually, EPA can do have reference how to reference forum site and those stuff as well. If you look at it. Any other question?
No, madam.
I think some of you already very familiar with programming, right? So C++ might not be very hard for you. How many of you are very familiar with programming? I mean, other types of programming. Yeah, any kind of information that you search in Google can be included as reference. Sure. Yes. Because nowadays programming, you can find any reference to internet, with C sharps. Yeah, C sharp is also like siblings of C++. Java is a bit different, but C sharp is a siblings of C++. You all come from C.
How about PHP, madam?
PHP is a bit different. But as long as you know something, well, at least you have a basic. Then you can learn other things. Even if you don't know anything about programming language, you don't have to worry, Marcelina. Even if you don't know any programming language, it's fine. After all, this is the first course in IT in Bachelor of IT for programming. So yeah, so you start with this, and then you can learn other thing afterwards. You have known Lisa know a few languages. That's even well, if it's quite new, it's fine. It's like learning a new language.
Hi, madam, are you talking? We can't hear you.
No, I didn't say anything at the moment. I'm just looking at other stuff. move on while I'm looking at the other thing. Can somebody create WhatsApp group for this class? Yeah. Oh, that's fast. Um, what group? Sorry, is it? Are you talking about the project group?
Hi, ma'am. Yes. Two members in the group, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we start forming the groups then?
Yeah,
Okay.
that means one person doesn't have a group since it's 23.
Yeah.
Actually, in my supposed to be 28 student in this class. That means 5 students not coming today. If 28, that means there is a partner for everyone. But yeah, you can perform groups first and let the others who have not come perform later. Because in my list, there's 28 students. So that means there's enough group, enough partners for everyone. Okay, so while you form your groups, then we start chapter 1, topic 1. Chapter 1 is just introduction actually. Not going to go deep into the notation of C++ yet. Let's get some introduction. Yes, the group should be 2 people only. I already asked the course leader, what if there's 3? She said, sorry, he said 2 is enough. There's too many for 3. So 2 only. Now there's 24 students. Whoever just came in, please join the WhatsApp group for our class. We're just going to look at the introduction to computer programming. Okay, so basically, at the end of the chapter, you should be able to explain the concept and importance of programming and computer program, differentiate between the 3 types of programming language, and differentiate between compiler, interpreter, and assembler. So, well, this is the very basic one. Computer consists of hardware and software. That software computer cannot be used because basically software is the brain of the computer. So instruction to hardware must be done through software, and the process of developing the software is called programming. Software is developed with programming language, and in this class, we're gonna use C++. Of course, there's other programming languages, and it's suited for a wide variety of programming tasks. And computer help people to accomplish tasks easier, of course. To command computer to do a task, given instruction must be in machine language, because basically that is the only language understood by the computer, the hardware. Writing program in machine language is not an easy task for programmer. Of course, if you want to program by using binary code 0101, that would be horrendously hard to do. So to overcome this, we have an easier programming language to make it more simple and easier to write. Before the language that we have today, we have other much harder type of language. So here are the different type of programming language. First one, of course, is the machine language. That's the one that we use the binary number. Program is written by using the binary number 0 and 1 or the hexadecimal numbering system. The 16, 0 until 9, and then A, B, C, D, E, F, the 16 numbering system. If you have taken script math, so you know how to convert from binary to hexadecimal and hexadecimal to binary. So that is machine language. You either write by using binary system or hexadecimal numbering system. But still, we have to use the number 01 because machine is basically just a couple of switches that goes on and off, 0 and 1. Okay, then we have an assembly language. Since programming in machine language is difficult and slow, so to overcome that, we have an assembly language, which is introduced by manipulating mnemonic code to represent the machine language. So basically, assembly language is much easier compared to machine language. not still not easy, but since you don't have to use 0 and 1, you just use this code. So basically it's much easier than machine language. Then we have high level language, which we use today. Machine language and assembly language are still machine dependent language. It depends on the hardware. To overcome it, a language is machine independent is needed to make it easier for programs to be transferred from one computer to another. So the language that we use today is not dependent on the hardware. So you can write and write in any machine and be run on any other hardware. So that's why it's considered as machine independent. Okay, so the language, the programming to the third type resemble the natural language more. It's easier to read and easy to understand. Must be compiled into machine language before it can be executed. So the compilation is done by using a compiler. Examples, like here are some for example, but there's other programming language, of course. We have C, C++, its cousin C Sharp, there's Ada, maybe you never heard of it, it's quite old. Libs, Pascal, that's also quite old. Fortran, Fortran is used mostly for the generating. COBOL, also old, not used anymore. This for database. And of course, Java, which is the ancestor for all its other Java. Well, nowadays it's all sort of as for Java. Okay, this is an example of those three languages. We have machine languages that using the code, and then we have assembly language. For example, we have move, add, move. And then we have high languages that just declare integer A, B, and C, and then C is equals to A plus B, which is much easier to understand. This is a brief history of C language. It's 7 with BCPL, BCPL by Richard. The BCPL stands for Basic Combined Programming Language. And in 1970, it turns into B language. Out of BCPL, it take the B. B language is only have single data type, and the single data type is the one that make it easier to hardware. And then 1972, language is by Ken Thompson. 1972, Dennis Ritchie take the C language. Basically, it's all evolved from the same one. And then 1989, NC Committee decide to have a more standardized version of C and came up with NC-C. So C and NC-C is not much different except that the NC-C is more standardized version of it, of C. Computers were programmed in machine language, just like I said just now. So, for example, here to calculate wages equals to rate times hours in machine language. First, to load, these are the codes 100, 100, 01, That's just to load. And then to multiply, it's 100, 110, 0. And then after you multiply, you need to store. The store is 100, 010, 01, 1. So basically, the machine language is on the left side, binary numbers. Those are the machine language. The assembly language use mnemonic code. So remember that we load, multiply, and then we store. So assembly language translate the program written into machine language. So it translates by using the assembler. Using assembly language instruction, wages equals to rate times hours can be written as load rate multiply hours store wages. So first you load the rate because rate is ready in the database, and then you multiply with the hours because hours is like the input, right? So you load the rate from the database, you multiply with the hours input, and then you store in wages. So after you multiply, where do you store it? You store in wages. So high level languages like Fortran, COBOL, C, C++, C Sharp, Java, and Python. We have compiler. Compiler translate the program written in a high level language into machine language. In C++, the weekly wages equation can just be written as wages equals to rate times hours. And don't forget the semicolon. That the semicolon is an error. Okay, so compiler, interpreter, and assembler. So what's a compiler? What's an interpreter? And what's an assembler? So this is a translator. We have a source code, you translate, they become a machine code. So what's a compiler? Programming language is compiled into assembler, translate program from assembly language into machine language. Compiler basically translate program in high level language into machine language. And then interpreter, what's interpreter? Is the interpreter same as translator? Translator basically translate the source code into machine code. Okay, what's the purpose of translator? All program written in programming language, except machine language, of course, and need to be translated into machine code, which is 0 and 1, as it will enable the computer to execute the program. Computers are not able to read the program written in language because the easier programming language, the more similar it is to human language. And the more similar it is to human language, the harder it is for the computer to understand. Programming program needs the translator to translate assembly language and high-level language to machine language. So a translator may consist of a compiler, an interpreter, and an assembler. Basically, a translator is not an interpreter. A translator consists of a compiler, interpreter, and assembler. So let's say this is a very simple C++ program. So you insert IO stream using namespace standard. So you're just going to produce and output my first C++ program. So after you run, get the output, my first C++ program. The usual your first C++ program is always hello world. In any language, it's always have a word. Okay, so the step needed to process. First, you use text editor to create the source code. Well, it doesn't have to be text editor. Assume. Use the text editor to create the source code or the source program in C++. Include pre-processor directive. Give me the symbol C sharp and no C sharp, sorry, symbol hashtag and are processed by the preprocessor. Use the compiler to check that the program obeys the language rules. Translate the program into machine language. That's the object program. And then use an integrated development environment or IDE to develop program in a high-level language. Programs such as mathematical functions are available in IDE. Library contains pre-written code that you can use also contained in IDE. Well, basically IDE have a lot of libraries and then you have programs. A linker will combine project object programs just now with other programs in the library to create executable code. A loader loads executable program steps to execute the program. So basically you can write a C program outside of the environment and then the compiler to put it into the IDE. IDE are quite user friendly. The compiler will identifies the if you write inside your IDE, the compiler identifies the syntax error and also suggests how to correct them. And then this build and rebuild is a simple command that links to object code with the resource used from the IDE. So basically, you write the program, editor, and preprocessor, and then the compiler will look for the syntax error. If there's syntax error, you go back to the editor. The syntax error, if it's IDE will suggest how to correct. If not, you have to correct the syntax error. You only goes back to the editor. Then, after there's no more error, I'll go to linker, go to link whatever in the library, and then it goes to loader, and last step is the execution of the program. Okay, this is C development error. So we have the environment, the syntax, and the standard library. So we have the editor used to type and update the program. File as saved as file name.c. The preprocessor is for processing certain information in program. Compiler translate process result to machine code. Linker will link function that invoke into object code. Loader is a process of loading program into main memory from secondary storage. CPU process execution statement under the control of the CPU. So basically loader and CPU involve the main memory, whereas editor, preprocessor, compiler, and linker just involve the storage. Okay, programming design involves two popular approach, structured and object oriented. So for structured programming, it involves dividing a program into smaller subprograms. That's structured design. So structured programming of course involves implementing the structured design. In structured design approach, we have top-down or bottom-up design, stepwise refinement, and modular programming. The oriented design, it basically identifies component core object, and then you determine how objects interact with each other and specify relevant data and possible operations to be performed on that data. Each object consists of data and operation in that particular data. An object will combine data and operations to on the data to a single unit. So, programming language that use OOD is called OOP, or Object-Oriented Programming Language. To design and use object, you must learn how to represent data in computer memory, manipulate the data, and implement operations. Key to create operation, you must write an algorithm and implement them in the programming language. Use function to implement the algorithm, combine data operation and the data into a single unit called class. Okay, C++ was designed to implement OOD, but somehow it used with structure design. It's an OOD used with structure design. So remember just now that the evolution we have ANSI, which is a standard version of C. So ANSI or ISO standard C++ is the one which is the latest one. It's basically evolved from C. C++ designed by this guy at Bell Lab in the early 1980s. Many different C++ compilers were available. And C++ program were always portable from one compiler to another, unfortunately, in 1980s. So in mid-1998, NCISO C++ language standard were approved. So the second standard called C++11 was approved in 2011. So the reason there's NCISO C++ language standard was created to ensure that this compiler, which in the beginning is not portable from one another, is to be compatible or portable. Because before that, there's a lot of compiler available, but they're not portable or compatible. So the NCISO language standard in 1998, when it's approved, all these different compiler is supposed to be compatible so that one compiler, one is portable from one to another. Okay. So computer program is a sequence of statements whose object is to accomplish a task. Programming is a process of planning and creating a program. The real-world analogy of programming is a recipe for cooking. Why a recipe for cooking is a good analogy for programming? If you want to cook, the recipe is you have an ingredient at the top and then you have how to cook at the bottom. For programming, especially if it's a procedure or a function, once you declare all the variables at the top, then only you use those that you have declared at the bottom. So that's why a recipe is a good analogy for programming because it looks similar. Of course, you want to cook, you need the ingredient. If you want to do some programming, you need to declare first what you need to use. So that's chapter one. Was just an introduction of what is programming and blah blah blah. So any question? Don't expect you to have any question. It's just chapter one. Any question on the programming? Oh, sorry, the assignment. Is everybody join the WhatsApp group? Question on anything?
Sorry, madam.
Yes. What is it?
Can you share the slide?
Not sure whether I can share it here.
Okay, madam.
To add it here in the chat. After the class, I will put it in the. Do you prefer to I put it in CN or you prefer if I just put in the class, the chat box after the class? You prefer if I put in CN or I put in the chat of the class after the class because I cannot add in the chat now. Yeah, I can add in the chat now,
Okay,
but
with both.
huh?
I'm okay with both.
Both chat in WhatsApp. Okay, so I put in the chat WhatsApp after the class because somehow the cannot put in WhatsApp now because the in WhatsApp during the class is not available. So after the class, I'll put in the chat but for the class. Okay, in the meantime, can I take your attendance? I hope you can make some sound when I mention your name. If you just type yes, I cannot see. Is Ahmad Daniel in?
Yes, ma'am.
Ahmad Daniel, are you in?
Hello,
You
yes.
make some sound. Because if you put yes or something, I cannot read because I open a different window. Is Ahmad Daniel in? Derek Vaughan? Isa is the one that asked me just now. Izhan Hanafi? Izhan is the one that asked me before. Punasilan? Punasilan, are you there? Muhammad Syahmi. There's two
Yes,
Syahmi.
madam, I'm here.
Muhammad Syahmi Syahrul Anwar. You
I'm here,
Muhammad Syahmi
madam.
apa? You. Okay,
Muhammad Syahmi
Muhammad
bin Syarul Anwar.
Muhammad Syahmi Azhar. There's two Syahmi. Muhammad Syahmi Azhar. Nur Alia Maisara.
Yes, madam.
Nur Bazlina.
Yes, madam. Yeah.
Nur Bazlina Razi.
Hello. Yes, here.
Okay. Nur Sumaya.
Yes, madam.
Petrus. Putra Muhammad Firdaus. Renuga.
Yes, miss.
Ranjita.
Yes, miss.
Rashika.
Yes, madam.
Ravin. Ringan. Not sure how to pronounce your name. Rubini. Sagita, of course. Sanjeev.
Yes, miss.
Sachindran. Chantaran. Sophia Shamini.
Yes, miss.
Okay. Tanush.
Yes, madam.
Enarasi.
Yes, madam.
Visalachi. Yashwin.
Yes, miss.
Zahra.
Miss, I'm Misala Chia.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
All right, thank you.
Zahra. Zahra tadi. Anybody here which I haven't mentioned the name?
Hi, Madam Petrus. I'm not sure if
Ah,
I'm off. Yeah.
okay. Petrus.
My line
Yeah.
is not stable. Yeah.
Okay, I mentioned your name just now.
Yeah. Maybe when you
Petrus.
call my name, I'm off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anybody else whose name I did not mention?
Hi, madam.
So I put your name already. The one that I haven't put is Ahmad Daniel, Penasilan, Muhammad Syahmi Azhar,
Ahmad Dhani here,
Muhammad
madam.
Firdaus, Ravin, Regan, Rubini, Hashindran, Shantaran, Zara. Anybody that I mentioned there?
Madam,
Who? What's your
Zara
name?
is here. Zara is
Huh?
here. He's in the chat.
Who?
Zara,
Madam,
Huh?
what?
she's in the chat.
Zara is?
In the chat.
I cannot hear what. Well, can you type instead? Sometimes I cannot hear. Show me Azhar here. Oh, Zara is there. Okay. Show me Azhar is here. Zara is here. Okay.
Daniel is here, madam.
Anybody else? I told you to shout. Maybe you're not in the
Hi,
environment
madam.
that you can fight. Shout. Yes?
Present. Citizen as well.
Done. Done. Yours done.
Thank you.
Okay, Robin, unable to speak. In what place? Okay, I'll check your name. Robin, able to speak in what place? Okay, done. Put your name. Anybody else? Okay, now I can read the chat box. So anybody who cannot speak, you can write in the chat. Type in the chat box. Excellent. 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 You can check. Excellent. I'm done. Ami Azahar, Sarah, Daniel, Penasilan, Ravin. Anybody else? Stores which did not say anything.
Hello, am I audible?
Huh? Who?
Daniel
What?
here, madam.
Vaseline ada. Daniel done. I'm looking for Regan. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. Regan, is he here? Is he available? S, because I didn't see his name. Is he here? RS? Daniel done. Kunosilan done. RS. It doesn't have any picture. Just put RS. The initial is RS. Are you here, RS? In my view, your picture, yours is between Yashwin and Shahmi Azhar. On top of Tenarasi, underneath Kunasilan. I'm not sure where are you in your view, but in my view, you're beside Yashwin, underneath Kunasilan, on top of Tenarasi. RS. Vigan Subramaniam, are you there? Because if you cannot say, just type like the others. Please indicate that you are here. You're available. It's 8:22.